In the velvet dark between stars, the great alien Queen Zara of the Krill Empire floated above her throne made of frozen lightning and shattered comets. Her eyes glowed like twin nebulas, and her silver hair moved as if alive with the breath of dying suns. For 10,000 cycles no being had ever seen her smile until today. Below her in the grand hall of echoes stood hundreds of warriors, scholars, and kings from 1,000 worlds, all gathered for the trial of the locked box, a small obsidian cube no bigger than a human heart that hummed with ancient power. The queen had declared that whoever unlocked it would become her consort and share her throne. A prize so grand it made galaxies tremble. Among the crowd stood Lily, a young woman from Earth who had never meant to be there. She had been plucked from her quiet life in a small town by a misfiring transport beam, meant for a diplomat. But now she stood in bare feet, wearing only a simple blue dress that shimmered oddly under the alien lights. She felt small and foolish, but something about the box called to her like a song. Only she could hear. The first challenger stepped forward, a hulking brute from the iron wastes, his skin like cracked stone and his voice like grinding boulders. He slammed his fists against the box. Nothing happened. He roared and tried to pry it open with claws forged in stellar cores. Still nothing. The box remained closed, smooth and silent. The crowd hissed and he stomped away in shame. Next came a mind, weaver from the Veil Nebula, who wrapped the box in threads of thought and memory. She whispered secrets older than time into its surface, but the box did not respond. It simply sat there humming its quiet tune. She bowed and vanished in a puff of violet mist. Owned by one. The greatest minds and strongest bodies of the known universe tried and failed. The box would not open. It mocked them all with its stillness, until only Lily remained standing near the edge of the hall, unnoticed like a stray leaf in a storm. Queen Zara's glowing eyes turned slowly toward her. The hall fell utterly silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. "You there?" The queen said, her voice soft yet filling every corner of space. "Who are you?" Lily swallowed hard, her throat dry. "I am Lily from Earth," she said simply, "just Lily." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Earth, a forgotten mudball on the edge of charted space. What could this soft creature do that warlords and sages could not? The queen tilted her head, curious. "Come forward." Little on Lily walked slowly, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She stopped before the floating throne and looked up at the queen, whose beauty was both terrifying and sad. "You wish to try the trial?" the queen asked. Lily nodded. "How do I? Because the box is lonely," she said without thinking. The words just came out. The queen's eyes flickered with something like surprise. No one had ever spoken of the box that way before. Guards brought the box to Lily. It hovered before her, cool to the touch and humming gently. She did not grab it or shout at it or try to break it open. Instead, she cupped it in her hands like a bird with a broken wing and whispered, "It is okay. You do not have to be strong all the time." At once the box clicked softly and unfolded like a flower blooming in slow motion. Light poured from its seams, golden warm light that filled the hall and made everyone shield their eyes. When the light faded, the box was gone, and in its place floated a single key, made of starlight. Gasps echoed through the chamber. No one had ever unlocked it. No one had ever even made it react. Queen Zara descended from her throne, her long silver hair trailing behind her like a comet's tail. She stopped before Lily and studied, her face as if reading a story written in her skin. "How did you do it?" the queen asked. Lily looked down at her hands. "I did not try to open it. I just listened." The queen smiled for the first time in 10,000 cycles. It was a small smile, but it lit up the entire hall like a newborn star. "You have done what none could. You have shown kindness where others showed force. You have heard silence where others heard only challenge." Lily looked up, surprised. "But I did not do anything special." "You did everything special," the queen said gently. "The box was not a puzzle to solve. It was a heart to understand. It belonged to my mother, the last true empress of the Krill. She locked away her sorrow inside it before she passed and said, only one who sees pain, not as weakness but as truth, could open it." Lily's eyes widened. "You mean?" "Yes," the queen said, stepping closer. "You have unlocked not just a box, but my past and my future." The crowd stirred, some in awe, others in jealousy, but none dared speak against the queen's will. Then the queen did something no one expected. She knelt before Lily, not as a ruler but as an equal. "I declared that whoever opened the box would marry me," she said softly. "And so I shall keep my word." But know this, lily of earth, I do. Not offer you a cage, I offer you a choice. Will you stand beside me? Not as a trophy, but as a partner, as one who sees the world with gentle eyes and brave heart. Lily looked around at the alien faces, the strange towers, the sky full of twin suns. She thought of her quiet town, her empty room, her lonely walks by the river. She had always felt out of place, as if she were waiting for something she could not name. Now she knew. Yes, she said simply. Yes. I will. The queen rose and took Lily's hand in hers, their fingers intertwined like roots finding soil in distant worlds. From that day the empire changed no longer. Did it conquer with fire and fear? It listened, it learned, it grew. Queen Zara and Lily ruled not from a throne of lightning, but from a garden grown in the heart of the palace where flowers from 1,000 worlds bloomed together. Lily wore no crown, but her presence became legend. The human who opened the unopenable. Not with strength, but with care. The girl who saw a heart where others saw a lock, and sometimes in the quiet hours when the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Lily would sit with Zara in their garden and hold the starlight key in her palm. It no longer opened anything, but it reminded her that the greatest power in the universe was not in breaking things apart, but in helping them bloom. But this was only the beginning. Far beyond the borders of the Krill Empire, in the cold void where no star dared shine, a shadow stirred something ancient and hungry had felt. The box open, it had waited for 10,000 cycles too, and now it knew the key was awake. On a dead moon wrapped in chains of forgotten gods, a single red eye blinked open. The peace would not last. Queen Zara sensed it first. A chill in the air, a whisper. In the wind that carried no words, only warning. She turned to Lily, her face calm but her eyes sharp as blades. They are coming, she said. Who? Lily asked. The ones who believe kindness is weakness, the ones who fear what they cannot control. Lily tightened, her grip on the starlight key. It pulsed softly in her palm like a heartbeat. What do we do? Prepare, the queen said. We stand together. That night Lily did not sleep. She walked the palace halls, learning its secrets. The walls hummed with old songs. The floors glowed with maps of lost battles. She met the royal guard led by a fierce warrior named Kale, who at first sneered at the soft human, but after seeing her speak to a wounded sky serpent with nothing but calm words, he bowed his head in. Respect, you are strange, lily of earth, he said. But your strangeness is strong. Lily smiled. Thank you. She also met the royal archivist, an old being made of light and paper who showed her scrolls that told of the box's origin. It was not just a container of sorrow, it was a seal, a lock placed by the first empress to hold back the devourer, a being that fed on fear and rage and had once nearly swallowed the galaxy whole. The key does not just unlock, the queen said, when Lily brought her the scroll. It also holds the seal in place. If it is destroyed or misused, the devourer will return. Lily's hands trembled, but she did not drop the key. I will protect it, she promised. Good, the queen said. Because you are not just my consort now. You are the guardian of balance. As days passed, Lily trained not with weapons but with understanding. She learned the language of stars, the songs of dying suns, the way to calm storms with a single note. She wore armor, not of metal, but of woven light gifted by the weavers of the seventh ring. It shimmered like dawn and moved like water. Queen Zara watched her with pride and something deeper, something like hope. You are becoming more than human, the queen said one evening as they stood on the highest balcony watching twin comets streak across the sky. Lily shook her head. I am still just Lily, but Lily is enough, the queen replied. Then the alarm sounded. Red lights flared across the palace. The sky turned black, though it was midday. A great ship, darker than space itself, hung above the capital. Its shape twisted like a scream made solid. The devourer had sent its herald. From the ship descended a figure tall and cloaked in smoke. Its voice echoed not in ears but in bones. Give us the key, or your world burns. Queen Zara stepped forward, her eyes blazing, but Lily placed a hand on her armlet. Mesh walked alone to the edge of the platform, the key glowing in her palm. You want the key, she called out. But you do not understand. It is not a weapon. It is a promise. The herald laughed, a sound that cracked, Stone promises are for the weak, then be weak with me, Lily said, and she held the key. Highlight exploded. Not harsh or violent, but warm and wide. It spread like water across the sky, touching the dark ship. The smoke cloak. The very air the herald screamed as the light peeled away its armor, revealing not a monster but a frightened being. Twisted by pain, Lily walked toward it slowly. You do not have to be alone, she said. Just like she had said to the box, the being fell. To its knees, tears like liquid shadow streaming down its face. The ship dissolved into stardust. Silence returned. Queen Zara came to Lily's side. Her hand finding hers again. You did it again, she whispered. Lily looked at. Weeks passed after the Herald's defeat, and peace settled over the Krill Empire like a soft blanket. But Lily could not shake the feeling that something deeper stirred beneath the calm. Queen Zara noticed it too. She saw how Lily would stare at the starlight key when she thought no one was looking, how her fingers traced its edges as if listening for a warning. One morning, as twin suns rose over the crystal spires of the capital city, Lily found a message waiting for her, not written on paper but woven into the petals of a night bloom flower that grew only in the palace gardens. The petals formed a single word: come. She followed the trail of blooming flowers through winding corridors until she reached the oldest part of the palace, a chamber sealed for centuries, its door made of black stone etched with spirals that pulsed faintly when she touched them. The door opened without sound. Inside, the room was empty, except for a pool of still water in the center, its surface black as ink, yet somehow full of stars. Lily knelt beside it, and the water rippled. Not from her movement, but from something below. A voice rose from the depths. Not loud, but clear. The key is awake. The seal weakens. Lily's breath caught. Who are you? I am the Watcher, the one who tends the lock between worlds. The devourer stirs not just in dreams, but in the bones of dead stars. It seeks a new vessel. What vessel? The voice paused, then said, your world, Earth. Lily's heart dropped. Earth was far away, small, and defenseless. If the devourer went there, it would be crushed like glass under a booty. Have to go back, she whispered. You cannot go alone, the Watcher said. The veil between realms is thinning. Only one who carries both light and memory can cross safely. Lily looked down at the key. It glowed softly in answer. That night she told Queen Zara everything. The queen did not argue or plead. She simply nodded and pressed a small silver locket into Lily's hand. Inside was a single strand of her glowing hair. This will guide you home and bring you back to me, the queen said, her voice steady, but her eyes held fear. I will return, Lily promised, with the locket around her neck and the key in her palm. Lily stepped into the pool of stars. The water swallowed her whole, and for a moment there was only silence, then cold, then the smell of rain and wet grass. She stood in the middle of a quiet field just outside her hometown. The sky was gray, the air thick with the promise of storm. She was home. But something was wrong. The trees were too still, the birds too quiet. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Lily walked toward town, her bare feet sinking into mud that felt strangely warm. Like living skin, Main Street was empty. Cars sat, abandoned doors wide, open as if people had vanished mid-step. Then she saw them, shadows moving in the alleys. Not people, but shapes made of smoke and hunger. Their eyes hollow, their mouths open in silent screams. The devourer had already begun its work. Lily clutched the key. It pulsed hot against her skin. She knew she could not fight these things with force. They were born of fear, and feeding on it would only make them stronger. She walked into the center of town and began to sing. It was not a grand song, just a lullaby her mother used to hum when she was small. Simple, soft, full of love. The shadows stopped their drifting. They turned toward her, their hollow eyes blinking. Lily kept singing, her voice trembling. But clear, one shadow stepped forward, its form flickering, like a dying candle. It reached out a hand made of mist, and Lily did not flinch. She held out the key. You are afraid, she said, and that is okay. The shadow made a sound like a sob, and collapsed into a pile of gray dust from which a single white flower grew, and by one the other shadows came forward, not to attack but to be seen, to be heard. Lily sang to each one, touched each one with the key's light, and each one turned to dust and flowers until the whole town square bloomed with white petals. But the victory was short-lived. From the edge of town, a new presence rose, tall and dark, wearing the shape of a man. But its eyes burned red, and its smile stretched too wide. So the little key-bearer returns. The thing set its voice like nails. On glass, Lily stood her ground. "Who are you?" "I am the vessel, the Devourer's chosen shell. It has filled me with power enough to unmake stars." "You are not filled with power," Lily said. "You are filled with paint." A vessel laughed and raised its hand. The ground cracked the sky. Split lightning struck the earth, not to destroy but to twist buildings bent like rubber trees turned to glass. The very air warped. Lily felt the key grow heavy in her hand. It was not enough, she needed more. Then she remembered. The locket. She opened it, and Queen Zara's silver hair glowed bright as a star. A thread of light shot into the sky, and from the clouds a voice echoed, not just Zara's, but the voices of 1,000 Krill warriors, scholars, healers, all lending their strength. "We stand with you," Lily of Earthlight poured from the locket, wrapping around Lily like armor. Not hard or sharp, but warm and steady. She stepped toward the vessel, not with anger, but with sorrow. "You do not have to carry this," Lily said. "You can let it go." The vessel snarled and lunged, but Lily did not dodge. She opened her arms and caught it like a falling child. For a moment there was silence. Then the red eyes flickered. The twisted smile softened. The vessel trembled in her arms. "It hurts," it whispered. "I know," Lily said, tears in her eyes, "but it does not have to." She pressed the key to its chest. Light exploded, not outward but inward, pulling the darkness into the key like water into a sponge. The vessel screamed, then sighed, then collapsed into the arms of a young man Lily recognized from her old high school. His name was Daniel. He had once shared his lunch with her when she forgot her. She blinked up at her, confused, but safely Lily helped him sit up. The town around them was healing, buildings straightening, trees turning green again, the sky clearing. But the key felt different now, heavier, darker. A thin crack ran down its side. "The seal is damaged." The Watcher's voice echoed in her mind. "The Devourer is not gone. Only delayed." Lily knew what she had to do. She could not stay on Earth. Not now. The Devourer would keep coming as long as the key was weak, as long as the seal was broken. She had to return to the Krill Empire to find a way to mend what was broken. She said goodbye to Daniel, who hugged her tight and whispered, "Thank you." She walked back to the field where she had arrived and opened the locket once more. Queen Zara was waiting on the other side, her face pale with worry, but her eyes full of pride. "You did it," the Queen said. "Not yet," Lily replied. "But I'm learning." Back in the palace, Lily told the council what happened. The elders frowned and muttered about closing the borders, sealing Earth away forever. But Queen Zara silenced them with a single look. "We do not abandon those who suffer," she said, "especially not when one of our own stands with them." Lily spent days in the archives with the old archivist, studying scrolls that spoke of the first seal. The original key was not just made of starlight. It was forged in the heart of a dying sun and tempered with a tear from the first empress. To repair it, Lily would need 3 things: a shard of that sun, a drop of true sorrow, and a promise freely given. The shard was kept in the sun vault deep beneath the palace, guarded by fire spirits who tested not strength but honesty. Lily passed by, simply telling them the truth. "I am afraid, but I will not run." The drop of true sorrow was harder to find until Lily remembered her own tears the night she left Earth, thinking she would never see home again. She let one fall onto the key. It sizzled softly and the crack grew smaller. The promise freely given was the hardest of all. Queen Zara offered hers without hesitation. "I promise to stand with you always, even if the stars fall." But the key did not fully heal. It needs another promise. The archivist said, "Someone who has known darkness and chosen light." Lily thought of Daniel. With the Queen's help, she opened a small portal just large enough to send a message, not words but a feeling, a memory of the white flowers, the song. The moment he was freed, days later, a small package arrived through the portal. Inside was a folded note and a single white petal. The note read, "I promise to be brave." The moment Lily placed the petal on the key, it sealed itself whole and brighter than before. But as the light faded, a new vision appeared in the pool of stars. Not of Earth or the Krill Empire, but of a place between places. A garden floating in the void where the Devourer Itself sat not as a monster but as a broken thing curled in on itself, weeping. The final trial was not to destroy it but to heal it. Lily looked at Queen Zara, who took her hand without a word. "We go together," the Queen said. Lily nodded. The journey would be long and dangerous, but for the first time Lily was not afraid. She had a key, a promise and a partner, and sometimes that was enough. Years passed and the bond between Earth and the Krill Empire grew strong. Not through treaties or armies, but through shared meals, shared songs and shared silence. Lily no longer felt like a stranger in either world. She walked the streets of her hometown in worn sneakers and a simple dress, and later that same day, she might stand on a balcony of the Crystal Palace watching comets streak across alien skies. But peace, like all living things, needed career. Rumors began to stir on the far edges of known space, whispers of a new threat. Not a monster or a warlord, but something quieter, more dangerous, a sickness that did not kill the body but stole the will to hope. It started on small colonies where people simply stopped trying, stopped planting, crops stopped speaking to one another. They sat in silence, staring at walls as if waiting for the end. Queen Zara sent scouts, but they returned hollow-eyed, and Mutalara felt it first, a coldness in the void garden where her flowers began to wilt. Not from lack of water, but from lack of meaning. Something is feeding on hope itself, she told Lily one evening as they walked among the fading bloom. Lily touched a drooping petal. It crumbled to dust in her hand. "The devourer is gone," Lily said. "We healed it. This is not the devourer," Alara replied. "This is something older, something that was here before stars were born. It does not want to destroy it. Wants to make everything stop." Lily knew what she had to do. She packed a small bag with a loaf of bread from Earth, a vial of starlight water, and the key, which now glowed with a soft, steady light, not bright but constant like a heartbeat. Queen Zara did not try to stop her. "You have always known when to go," she said. "But this time, take more than courage, take help." So Lily did not go alone. She asked Daniel, now a teacher in their hometown, to come with her. He had kept the white flower from the day he was freed, pressed between the pages of an old book. He brought it with him as a reminder that even broken things can bloom. She also asked Kale, the once skeptical royal guard who had learned to respect quiet strength over loud force. He came with his sword, but also with a flute carved from moonwood that he played to calm frightened minds, and Alara came too. Not as a weapon, but as a witness. They traveled in a small ship shaped like a seed, not built for war, but for landing softly on fragile worlds. Their first stop was the colony of Viridia, a world once known for its music, now silent. They found the people sitting in rows in open fields, not moving, not speaking, their eyes empty. Daniel knelt beside a young girl and hummed the same lullaby Lily had sung years ago. The girl did not respond, but her fingers twitched. Kale played his flute, a low, gentle tune that curled through the air like smoke. Alara walked among them, touching foreheads not with power but with presence. And Lily held the key. But this time the key did not shine brightly. It pulsed slowly, like a tired heart. "It is not enough," she whispered. Then she understood. This sickness was not born of pain but of forgetting. These people had not been hurt. They had simply lost the memory of why life mattered. So Lily did not try to fix them. She sat beside an old man and told him a story about her grandmother who used to bake pies that smelled like summer. She spoke of the way rain felt on skin, the sound of laughter in a crowded room, the warmth of a hand held in the dark. The old man blinked. A tear rolled down his cheeks. Lowly, others turned their heads. Daniel shared his flower and told them how it grew from sorrowkale, played a song his mother taught him about stars being born from dust. Alara simply sat and wept with them, not for what was lost, but for what could still be found, and the key began to glow again. Not with light, but with memory. One by one, the people of Viridia stood. Not all at once, but slowly, like plants turning toward the sun. They did not cheer. They did not shout. They simply reached for each other's hands and began to speak. From Viridia, they went to other worlds, each one more silent than the last, and each time they used the same method. Not force, not magic, but presence. They cooked meals together, told stories, planted seeds, sang songs that had no words, only feeling. Word spread not through signals, but through heart sun. A frozen moon where miners had stopped speaking. Lily sat in the dark with them and shared bread. She did not ask them to talk. She just stayed until one of them whispered, "Thank you," on a desert planet where farmers had let their fields die. Daniel walked the dry earth and planted a single seed from earth. It sprouted in hours, glowing faintly in the dusk. Cale taught children to play his flute. Not to be musicians, but to remember that sound could be gentle. Alara listened to every sorrow and never tried to fix it, only to hold it. And Lily carried the key, not as a tool, but as a reminder that even the smallest light matters. But the source of the sickness remained. Hidden until one night while orbiting a dead star they saw it, a ship not made of metal but of silence. It floated without engines, without lights. It simply was, and where it passed, hope faded. That is the hollow vessel. Lily said. They followed it. Not to fight, but to understand. It led them to a place outside of space, a void where time did not flow, but pooled like still water. In the center floated a being made of absence, not dark, not empty, but the space where light should be. You cannot heal this, Alara whispered. This is the first silence, the moment before the first word. Lily stepped forward, the key in her hand. Why are you doing this? She asked. The being did not speak, but thoughts flowed into their minds. Am tired, it said. All stories end all. Songs fade, all light dies. Why try? Because trying is the point, Lily said. Even if it ends, even if it fades, the trying is what makes it beautiful. The being trembled. No one has ever spoken to me before, only run or fight. Lily held out the key. Then let me be the first. She did not offer a solution. She offered company. For days they sat in the void. Lily telling stories of Earth, of the Krill Empire, of Daniel's flower, of Cale's flute, of Alara's garden. The being listened. Slowly the void around them changed, not bright but less heavy, less alone. The hollow vessel began to take shape, not as a monster but as a weary traveler who had forgotten the way home. What is your name? Lily asked. The being thought for a long time. I had one once, but I lost. Then choose a new one. It looked at the key glowing softly in Lily's palm. Call me Solon, it said, from the old word for echo Solon. Stayed with them not as a prisoner, but as a student learning again how to hope. They returned to the Empire not with a victory but with a guest queen. Zara welcomed Solon not with suspicion but with tea and quiet conversation. Solon helped tend the void garden where flowers now bloomed in colors that changed with mood. And the sickness stopped, not because it was destroyed, but because it was seen. Lily stood one evening on the palace balcony with Queen Zara. Daniel, Cale, and Alara Solon sat nearby, sketching constellations in the air with faint light. You did it again, Daniel said. Lily shook her head. We did it. And that was the truth. No one healed the universe alone. It took a human girl who listened, a queen who trusted, a warrior who played a flute, a former monster who wept, and a hollow being who learned to hope. The key no longer needed to unlock anything. It simply hung around Lily's neck, a small warm weight, a reminder that the greatest battles were not fought with weapons but with kindness. And somewhere far away on a quiet street on Earth, a child picked a white flower and gave it to a stranger who looked. And the cycle continued, not with fanfare but with a single act of care, and that was enough. The journey to the Void Garden began not with a ship but with a song. Queen Zara stood beside Lily in the heart of the palace, where the oldest starwell hummed with forgotten melodies. They held the key between them and sang the lullaby Lily had used on Earth, but now it was woven with krill harmonies deep and ancient. The air shimmered, the floor vanished, and they fell not down but inward, through layers of silence and memory. When they landed, it was on soft ground that felt like moss, but glowed faintly blue. Around them stretched a garden. Unlike any other, trees grew upside down, their roots reaching for a sky with no stars. Flowers bloomed in colors that had no name, and the air smelled of rain and old books. In the center of the garden sat the devourer. It was smaller than Lily expected, curled into itself like a child hiding from thunder. Its form shifted constantly, one moment, smoke, the next shadow, then something almost human with eyes full of endless night. It did not attack it, did not speak. It simply wept tears that fell as black stones sinking into the ground where white flowers sprouted instantly. Lily took a step forward. Queen Zara stayed close, her hand never leaving Lily's back. You are not a monster, Lily said softly. The devourer flinched but did not look up. I am hunger, it whispered, the voice cracked and dry. I am the end of all things. No, Lily said. You are what was left behind. The devourer finally raised its head. Its face blurred like a reflection in troubled water. Left behind by Hubi. Those who made you the first empress did not create you to destroy. She made you to hold what she could not bear, her grief, her fear, her loneliness. She locked it away and called it a monster. But it was never you. It was just pain. Wearing your shape, the devourer trembled. I have eaten worlds, I have turned light to ash, and yet you cry. Lily said, stepping closer. You cry for every life you took because you remember them all. A sob tore from the creature's chest, loud enough to shake the garden. I did not want to, but the hunger would not stop. Lily knelt before it, the key glowing warm in her palm. The hunger does not have to rule you anymore. She offered the key not as a weapon, but as a gift. The devourer stared at it for a long time, then reached out a trembling hand made of mist and starlight. It touched the key, and light poured not out, but in filling the cracks in its form, not erasing them, but softening them like scars after healing. Queen Zara watched silently, tears tracing silver paths down her cheeks. She understood now: the box, the key, the trial. It was never about finding a consort. It was about finding someone who could see the truth beneath the terror. The devourer rose slowly, its shape settling into something calm, a tall figure with gentle eyes and skin like twilight. What is my name? It asked. You choose it, Lily said. It thought for a moment, then smiled faintly. I will be called Alara. From that day, the Void Garden changed, no longer a prison but a sanctuary. Alara tended the flowers that grew from her tears and taught them to bloom even in darkness. Lily and Queen Zara visited often, bringing stories from the living worlds, songs from Earth, poems from the Krill stars. But peace did not come without cost. Back in the Empire, whispers grew louder. Some nobles claimed the queen had grown weak, that she let a human and a former monster walk free, that the old ways of strength and conquest were being forgotten. One night, a group of rebels led by a warlord named Vor stormed the palace gates. They wore armor forged from the bones of fallen sons and carried blades that drank light. They demanded the key. Queen Zara stood on the balcony above them, her voice calm but sharp as glass. The key is not a weapon, it is a promise. Vor laughed. Promises do not win wars. Perhaps not, Lily said, stepping beside the queen. But they build worlds worth protecting. Vor raised his blade and charged. Lily did not fight. She opened the key. Light spread. Not as fire, but as understanding. It touched the rebels and showed them not battle, but memory, their own pain. Their lost loves, their secret hopes, the armor they wore. Not as strength, but as fear. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Vor fell to his knees, his blade clattering too. The ground. He only wanted to protect our people, he whispered, then protect them with truth. Not fear, Queen Zara said. After that, the Empire changed again. Not by force, but by choice. Schools opened that taught empathy alongside combat. Gardens grew in every city where citizens could speak their sorrows without shame. And the key became a symbol not of power but of healing. Lily still missed Earth. Sometimes she would sit on the highest balcony and watch the stars, wondering if Daniel was okay. If the white flowers still bloomed in the town square. Queen Zara would sit beside her and say, one day you can go back for good. But Lily would shake her head, not yet. Because she knew her place was here. Not as a queen or a hero, but as a bridge between worlds, between fear and kindness, between what was and what could be. Months passed and Alara began to visit the Empire, not as a guest but as a teacher. She spoke to children about listening to sadness instead of running from it. She walked with warriors and showed them that true courage was not in never falling but in helping others rise one evening as the twin suns set, painting the sky in gold and violet. Lily stood with Queen Zara and Alara in the palace garden. The key floated between them. No longer needed to lock or unlock, but simply to remind. We did it, Lily said. No, Alara replied, we are still doing it. And that was the truth, for the universe was not fixed in a day or saved by one act. It was healed slowly, quietly, by every choice to be kind, every moment of listening, every hand held in the dark. Lily looked at her two companions, one born of stars, one born of sorrow, and knew she was home. Not in a place, but in a purpose. Later that night she dreamed of Earth, But this time it was not. Empty, it was full of light, children laughing, old people dancing, and in the center of town a great tree had grown from the spot where the vessel fell, its leaves shimmering with the same soft glow as the key. When she woke, she told Queen Zara, "It is time," she said. Not to leave, but to share. They opened the Starwell once more, not to travel, but to connect a bridge of light and song between Earth and the Krill Empire. Not to conquer or change, but to learn. Humans came to the Empire not as slaves or soldiers, but as students and friends. They brought music, stories, and seeds from their world. The Krill shared star maps, healing songs, and light weaving. Lily walked among them, all human and alien side by side. Her blue dress now lined with silver thread. Her bare feet still touching the earth even among stars. Queen Zara ruled with wisdom, but Lily ruled with heart. And together they showed the galaxy that the strongest empires were not built on fear, but on trust. And Alara, the former devourer, now gardener of souls, walked quietly among the new gardens, planting seeds of understanding wherever she went. One day a young human girl asked Lily how she became so brave. Lily smiled and held up the key. "I was not brave," she said. "I was just willing to listen. That was the secret all along. Not strength, not power, not weapons. Just the courage to see the heart inside the lock." And so the story did not end. It grew like a tree with roots in sorrow and branches in hope. Its leaves whispering to every world that kindness was not weakness. It was the oldest and truest magic of all. And Lily, the girl from a quiet town who once felt out of place, now stood at the center of 1,000 worlds. Not because she was special, but because she chose to care. And that made all the difference. The peace that followed was deep and quiet, like the calm after a long storm, but Lily knew better than to believe it would last forever. Still, she let herself rest for a time, walking the palace gardens with Queen Zara, watching Solon teach Krill children how to listen to silence, and seeing Daniel plant earth seeds in alien soil that now grew into trees with silver leaves and golden fruit. Morning, Lily woke to a strange feeling. Not fear, but a pull, as if something far away was calling. Her name not with sound, but with memory. She went to the Starwell, the pool of stars in the oldest chamber, and saw ripples where there should be none. The Watcher's voice rose again, soft but urgent. "The final thread is loose." "What thread?" Lily asked. "The one that ties your past to your future. The one you have not yet faced." Lily frowned. She had faced the devourer, the hollow sickness, the warlords. What was left? Then she remembered. Her own world had been saved. But what of the moment that started it? All the misfiring transport beam that brought her here, it had never been explained who sent it. Why it chose her. Queen Zara found her staring into the pool. "You feel it too?" the Queen said. Lily nodded. "Someone or something brought me here on purpose. They decided to seek the truth not with weapons but with questions. They took the seed ship again this time. With only Solon as guide, for Solon understood the spaces between things better than anyone. Their journey led them not to a planet or a station, but to a drifting archive, a library made of light and memory floating in the ruins of a dead civilization, long forgotten even by the Krill. The archive had no doors, only a question that appeared in their minds as they approached. "Why do you seek to understand?" Lily answered simply. The walls parted and they stepped inside. Shelves stretched forever, filled not with books but with moments frozen in glass orbs, each one holding a memory, a life, a choice. Solon moved slowly among them, touching none, but sensing all here. The Watcher's voice whispered again. In the center of the archive floated a single orb, brighter than the rest. Lily reached for it, and the moment her fingers brushed its surface, she was pulled inside. She stood in a room she knew, well, her old bedroom on Earth, rain tapping on the window. Her younger self sat on the bed reading a book. The same book she had been reading the day the beam took her. But someone else was there too. A woman with kind eyes and silver hair. Just like Queen Zara's, but older. Lily realized with a shock it was the first Empress, the mother of Zara. The Empress knelt before young Lily and whispered words Lily had never heard before. "When the time comes, you will be called not because you are strong, but because you are open." Then she placed a hand on the book and it glowed faintly. The memory shifted. Lily saw the Empress building the box. Not as a prison, but as a test, a way to find someone who could heal, not conquer. She had woven a thread, a fate into the fabric of space, a thread that would one day pull the right heart to the right place. And she had chosen Lily not by accident, but by hope. The orb dimmed and Lily stood back in the archive, tears on her cheeks. It was never random. She said softly. No, Solon replied. It was a gift wrapped in chance. Queen Zara looked at her with new understanding. My mother believed in you before you even knew my name. Lily nodded, and now I understand why. They left the archive changed, not by battle, but by truth. But as they boarded the ship, a new signal blinked on the console. Not a distress call, but a song, a lullaby. The same one Lily had sung on Earth, only this time it came from deep within uncharted space. Someone was using her song as a beacon. They followed it past dying stars and newborn nebulae, until they found its source, a small station orbiting a black hole, its hull patched with scraps from 100 worlds. Inside, they found not an army, but a school children of many species sat in a circle, listening to an old human woman who strummed a guitar, and sang. Lily recognized her instantly. Mrs. Ellis, her fourth-grade teacher, who had once told her, "You have a kind heart." Lily never wasted it. Mrs. Ellis looked up and smiled as if she had been waiting. "You came," she said. "How did you get here?" Lily asked, "after you disappeared." People began to notice things, small kindnesses growing bigger. A boy shared his lunch, a girl stood up for a friend. A town planted a garden where a factory once stood. They called it the Lily Effect. Miss Ellis had gathered these children, not to teach them war or power, but to teach them how to care. We use your song to remind them that even in the dark, someone is listening. Lily sat among the children that day and told them her story, not as a hero, but as a girl who tried. Queen Zara played a chryal melody on a small harp. Solon showed them how to sit with sadness without fear, and Kale taught them that strength could be gentle. Before they left, Mrs. Ellis gave Lily a small box made of wood. "Open it when you need to remember home," she said. Back on the ship, Lily opened it. Inside was a smooth riverstone, a pressed daisy, and a note that read, "You are never alone." As they neared the Empire, a new vision came to Lily, not in the Starwell, but in a dream. She saw a great tree, its roots in earth, its branches in the krill sky, and its fruit were keys, not of metal but of light, each one waiting for a hand willing to hold it gently. When she told Queen Zara, the queen smiled. "The legacy is not ours to keep," she said, "it is ours to pass on." So they began a new project, not a war, not a rule, but a school of their own, in the heart of the palace, open to any being from any world who wished to learn. The old ways of force were not erased but balanced with new ways of care. Daniel taught Earth stories, Kale taught defense through awareness, Ilara taught healing through presence, and Solon taught the language of silence. Lily taught nothing, she simply listened, and in listening, she helped others find their own voices. Years turned to decades, but Lily did not age like others. Her time between worlds had changed her not into a goddess but into a bridge. Her hair silvered like Zara's, but her eyes stayed warm and human. One evening, as they sat in their garden, now vast and filled with life from 1,000 worlds, Queen Zara took Lily's hand. "Do you ever wish you had stayed on Earth?" Lily looked at the twin suns setting over crystal towers, then at the small earth oak growing beside a krill moonbloom. "I did not leave Earth," she said. "I brought it with me, just as I brought your world to others." Queen Zara leaned her head on Lily's shoulder. "You healed more than a monster. You healed the idea that we must be hard to survive," and Lily knew it was true. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still hurts, still fears, still moments of darkness. But now there were also hands to hold in those moments, voices to sing in the silence, gardens to grow in the ruins. The key no longer hung around her neck. It rested in the center of the school where any student could touch it. Not to unlock power, but to remember that kindness is a choice made again and again. One day, a young krill girl asked Lily how she knew she was doing the right thing. Lily smiled and pointed to the garden. "See that flower? It grew from a tear. See that tree? It grew from a song. See that child laughing? She grew from someone who cared enough to listen. That is how you know." The girl nodded and ran off to help a friend who had fallen, and Lily watched her go, knowing the story would never end. It would only grow new branches, new roots, new light. For as long as someone chose to care, The universe would keep blooming. And that was the most human thing of all.